everybody, it's Allison. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to a very inky episode. We're going to be playing with ink sprays, and you know how I love making backgrounds. I especially love just making a bunch of backgrounds at once and having an easy way to make cards. And here are two of those cards. These are using Spellbinders monthly clubs for August. All right, here are the sprays that I'll be playing with today. These are all from Ranger. And I tried to pick similar colors from all of these sprays. So first we have Dylusions Ink Sprays on the left and Distress Spray Stains on the right. These are very similar to each other. They're both water reactive. Now this is gloss spray from Dina Wakley. This is actually my first time using these. I've had them for a while. And finally we have Distress Oxide sprays. So again, they're all from Ranger. And all right, first, when I work with sprays, I always have a spray bottle with water. This is my Distress sprayer, which I've had for a long time. You probably see me using this a lot in videos. Now, if you pump just halfway or just very softly, you can get big water droplets instead of a fine spray. So you can kind of use this water bottle in two different ways. Now, this is the Mighty Mister spray bottle from Spellbinders. I just bought this recently, and this is my first time using it. This gives a fine kind of continuous spray. It's very comfortable to use, and you don't have to pump as much because you just kind of pump once and it just sprays continuously. So it puts out more water. Now I'm using Ranger Mixed Media Heavystock paper for my projects today. This paper can take a lot of water, so it's great for what I'm about to do. All right, I'm going to start with the gloss sprays because I'm excited to try them for the first time. You do have to shake these. There's a little mixing ball inside. And I'm just going to spray these directly onto the paper. I am not using water with these. These are opaque acrylic sprays that dry to a glossy finish. Now, they are water soluble when they're wet, but once they're dry, they are permanent. So again, I just chose not to use water. I wanted to see what these would do by themselves. So again, I tried to pick similar colors for all of these sprays. Blue, pink, and yellow. All right, now because these dry permanent, the paint underneath kind of acts like a resist. So when you keep adding layers and the bottom layers are kind of drying, you'll see the layers, those lower layers resisting. So you can do some pretty cool techniques with these gloss sprays. And I'm not really doing any techniques today. I am just playing with these sprays. We're not going to be doing anything fancy. I'm just going to be getting some cool backgrounds. Now with all of these sprays, it is very important to wipe the nozzles clean after you use them. That way they won't be clogged the next time you go to play. So here I'm wiping one of those gloss sprays. And it's easy to forget, so just try to remember. All right, so here is the panel of that gloss spray. It's all dry, and I'm just going to come in and add some more color. And I'm actually going to try to pump really lightly in order to get little droplets. I kind of like the little splattered look, so you'll see me come in, I think, with all three colors. Or here comes the blue, and I'm going to try to get some droplets out of that blue bottle. So I don't know, I just kind of was liking how the droplets were looking. So this panel is going to look a lot different than the other ones I'm going to make. All right, so I'm going to mist my paper with some water first, and then we're going to play with the Distress Spray stains. These are probably the sprays that I use the most. And now as far as spraying water on the paper beforehand, you don't have to. Sometimes I spray it first, sometimes I don't. It just depends how I'm feeling. So there we go. I'm going to come in with more water now. And again, I'm kind of testing out these two different sprayers. And I'm going to come in with even more of the sprays. And adding more water and the more sprays just will really get these colors moving. And now I'm just mopping up the excess water along the edges. And off screen, I'm just putting all of these panels aside to dry. I actually have some brown packing paper that comes in packages, and I keep that brown paper and I put it on my floor in my craft room, and then I lay these wet panels out to dry. So, good way to recycle packaging materials. All right, here are the Dylusions Ink Sprays from Diane Reevely. Now, I have had these in my stash forever. I may have mentioned this before, but I used to art journal before I made cards. And I bought these sprays and all sorts of other Dylusions goodies back in the day. And these are still as good as new. Now, these are similar to Distress Sprays. They're both water reactive. I think they have slightly different properties. I'm not a ranger scientist, so I couldn't tell you what those are. But really, I use these the same way. And the biggest difference to me is that there are slightly brighter colors in the Dylusions line. And by the way, the pink that I have for the Dylusions has quite a bit more purple in it. So the comparisons are not going to be quite the same, but look at that bright, amazing color. All right, here we have Distress Oxide sprays. And these you have to shake, similar to the gloss sprays. You might be familiar with Oxide ink pads. These are a combination of pigment and dye inks. So I'm going to start spraying. And I can tell by the spray pattern of a couple of these that I didn't do a great job cleaning the nozzle the last time I used them. So I think right now I'm cleaning the pink nozzle, and I'll get a better spray after I do that. But again, just stressing the importance of cleaning those nozzles. And adding some water, getting those colors to move. And you'll see kind of in the upper left corner, I created a little bit of a muddy color. Now, Craft Scrubby is my best friend. You'll see that my fingers were getting awfully inky. I don't mind. I love playing and getting inky, but this gets my hands clean. Just the best invention. If you don't like getting all inky, that's fine. Just wear gloves when you're playing with these. Let's look at the panels that we got. Now, the Dylusions panels on the left, the Distress Spray on the right. And here is the gloss spray. And you can definitely see that gloss finish. It also has a totally different feel. So this is acrylic paint based. And remember, acrylic is plastic. So it definitely feels kind of plasticky. Now, oxides are a lot more muted than the regular distress sprays. And they're kind of chalky looking and somewhat chalky feeling. This can come off on your fingers. So typically I put microglaze over it if I'm using these sprays. And here I'm just showing you how that kind of purpley color came off on the white paper. All right, here's the background with the Dylusions sprays. And here you'll see that they're water reactive, just like the Distress line. So I just sprayed some water droplets on there, and then I can just mop them up with my paper towel. Now, if I had left the water there a little bit longer, it would have pulled up more of that color. Now, here are the gloss sprays, and you'll see that water just beads up on that surface. And that's because it's permanent. It's not going to react with the water. And I think I mentioned before, and that green was on the paper towel was not from that panel. I have my Waffle Flower water medium mat out. I didn't feel like pulling out that plastic box again. And this is just showing you the Oxide panel and how you can get these colors completely moving again with water. So again, when they're water reactive, it doesn't matter how dry they are, you add water and they will start moving again. And same thing, here's that Dylusions panel, and I'm adding water and see how those colors start moving again. So there's just all sorts of fun techniques you can do with all these sprays, but we're not doing that today. Now here you can see how easy this mat cleans up. This is a silicone mat, just like my mini stencil mat that you see me using all the time. All right, let's make some cards. This is a panel that I made off camera using funky fuchsia and vibrant turquoise Dylusions sprays. And look how beautiful this panel is. Now, when I have panels that are kind of warped from a lot of water or sprays, I like to adhere them to my card bases with Scor-Tape. Use whatever double-sided tape you have, but I love Scor-Tape. And I have some pretty wide Scor-Tape. I think this is 3/8 of an inch. Now, here's a trick to make sure you get your panel perfectly lined up with your card base. Just put the card base into the corner of your Scor-Buddy or your MISTI or whatever else you have. And you just line up the panel the same way and it will just line up perfectly. So there we go. Now this is the Fairy Tales die set. This was the bonus die that came with the March Deluxe Caboodle Value Club for Spellbinders. These are exclusive to that club, but Spellbinders just released these add-on dies, I think for the January through May 24 clubs. So you can buy these separately now, but you do need to be a club member of some sort to buy them. You don't have to be a Caboodle club member. You can be a small die club member and buy these. We're just gonna look at a little assembly here. I fussy cut a piece of gray cardstock to put in the back so that it would show through the windows of the castle. And you'll see me assemble this as a pink castle, but in the end I do change that out for pale blue because you know me, Miss Indecisive. And here I'll just show you all the little pieces and how they fit on the castle. It's really easy to assemble and really fun to assemble as well. So I had cut these little pieces out of kind of a purpley glitter cardstock at first, and you'll see on the final card I swapped that out for white glitter cardstock. Now I first added all of these pieces in white cardstock, in some cases 2 layers of white cardstock just to get some dimension on some of the details. You know, I like dimension, and especially with this castle, I think it's nice to have some things, you know, with more dimension than others, just to make things look closer, make some things look further away. You know, I don't know. I like adding dimension. So again, adding white pieces first, and then I can add the white glitter pieces on top. Just little details. So again, these pieces kind of go together like little puzzle pieces. And it's fun seeing it all come together. I think this castle is really sweet. Now I'm not going to assemble the rest of the castle on camera, but I'm going to show you how I created that bottom panel. So this is a die from the Color Block Cloudscape set, and you'll see I just cut my panel down. And this white piece is where I'm going to put my sentiment. Now these words come from the Colorful Expressions Sentiment set. This is the small die of the month for August, and look at all of those words. I think there are 18 words and shadow dies. So I'm not using the shadow dies on this, but I cut this out of that fun glitter cardstock. Now I have a sub-sentiment. It's an old retired set from My Favorite Things, and I'm not sure how I want to lay this out yet. So I'm going to do something that I've been showing you a lot of lately, and that is kind of testing out my stamping. So I put everything into my MISTI with my waffle flower grip mat and making sure that this sentiment is nice and straight. And now I have one of the carrier sheets from one of my smaller waffle flower grip mats, and I covered the piece of paper with it. So now I'm basically stamping onto acetate. And now I can bring the words back in, the word dies back in, and see if I like how it looks. And I did like how it looked, so now I can remove that piece of acetate and stamp onto the actual piece of cardstock. So it's just a really great way. Oh, and by the way, I'm just showing you I have foam tape on the back because this is going to overlap the castle, so I had to pop it up a little bit. The stars are from the same white glitter cardstock that I used for details on the castle. And I think it looks better in blue. I think this is really sweet. And look at that sky. All right. This is the Colorful Expressions Blooms. This is the large die of the month for August. Again, this is all from Spellbinders. And this panel was from that Distress Spray Stain panel. I just cut half of it down. This is a A2 size card base. And you'll see I cut the big flower out from that panel. And now I have this other piece that I created off camera. This is from, I think, a couple Dylusions colors. And I'm going to cut the large leaves from that panel. So again, I didn't make this on camera. I'm sorry about that, but here is the finished card. And you'll see, so I cut the flower from that panel, and then I put a white flower underneath into basically the hole that it created. And then I put my flower back on top. So the flower blends in with the background, but because I only glued it in the center, the leaves kind of, or the petals kind of pop up and give it dimension. And, you know, everything here I die cut from my sprayed panels. So not only did I get a cool background, but these are really great for die cuts as well. One last thing I just want to mention, these are not the only sprays in my stash. You've seen me use the new Distress Spritz sprays recently. And of course there are the Distress Mica sprays. I think I have, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those. I didn't show any of that because, well, we just don't have time. So we'll leave that for another day. But stay tuned because my next video, I will be using more of these sprayed panels for die cuts and backgrounds. And, you know, like I said, I love making a bunch of these so that I can make, you know, so I have backgrounds for future cards. So we will use some of these next time. And until then, I really appreciate having you here with me. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe while you're at it. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.